lie. So
okay, fine. Thank you. Something else?
6 characteristics of devotional service.
Okay, so we began 6 characteristics. Okay.
Klesha, Agnesh, Vadan, Moksha, Lagutaka.
हाँ, बोला ना, पूरा करो.
Sudurlabham.
Then
Sri Krishna Krishna.
before that, Sandrananda Visheshatma.
Sri Krishna Krishna.
Okay, fine. Okay, Kleshagni, some points on Kleshagni.
Hare Krishna, Bhaji. So you told that kleshas are because of mainly the cycle you showed that is because
3 causes, mainly 3 causes. What
sinful
are they?
activities first, and sinful activities happen because of bija, and that is because of avidya.
Avidya. Okay, 3 main causes of klesha. Okay, good. Then, bolo.
So then we discussed about the like how bhakti can, like the Padma Puran sloka which talks about all these 4 levels of aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalonmukham kramenaiva praliyata Vishnu bhakti ratatmana. That how by performing devotional service of the Lord gradually one after another, and then you quoted from Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur that how it happens is first it starts from the descent to the past. That first the prarabdha, which is phalonmukham first, and then gradually bijam and then kutam and then aprarabdha.
Okay, fine. So some evidences for each of them. How devotional service destroys aprarabdha, prarabdha, bijam. Yeah, Danvit.
By doing bhakti and prarabdha and aprarabdha karma is nullified.
Correct. So some,
like a prarabdha can be destroyed. Sometimes dreams comes, so that's how that is destroyed. And prarabdha.
What is the example that Rupa Goswami has given? The verse from the 11th canto.
That even dog eaters.
That is for prarabdha. For aprarabdha. What is that analogy? 11th canto. Correct. So the example is of the fuel burning or the fire burning the fuel to ashes, wood to ashes, and that is for prarabdha. Then the example for prarabdha is? Yeah, Dedo?
In this, Kapil Bhagwan is telling to Devuti.
No, Devuti is telling.
So Devuti is telling glories. So she tells that if somebody is able to chant holy name, that means that person has already done so many sacrifices, charity.
Actually, वो दूसरा श्लोक है, वो next श्लोक है.
Okay.
This is telling?
Even dog eaters. Yes, Swapacha. Actually, Swapacha next also comes.
Yes, both Swapacha comes.
So,
yes.
So she's telling that even dog eaters, those who are born in a low family or low caste, and they have no education, even if they are able to chant the holy name, which means they are fully eligible to perform the Vedic
sacrifice. They become qualified to perform Vedic sacrifice. Then what to speak of somebody who is directly seeing the Supreme Lord face? Yes. That is what the verse is. Yes. Okay, so that is example of how prarabdha is changed, how even the dog eater becomes qualified to perform Vedic sacrifice. Another example is Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur. Ajamil, of course, Ajamil also got purified, no doubt, by the chanting of the Veda. Okay, then for Bijam,
if we are writing like OVA, then we can mention like Shastric examples are there. So if we can also quote Prabhupada Lilamrit there. Like in this connection, that how Prabhupada transformed the lives of so many.
That is okay.
That is considered Shastric example only, right? I just from technical point of view I was asking.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is Leelamrita Shastra only.
Yeah, we understand. Just clarifying. Yes.
No problem. That's fine. Then for Bijam and Avidya, what we discussed? Bijam, how Bijam is destroyed? What we discussed?
If somebody is having venereal disease, but that sex desire does not go away. But
Even after taking the treatment.
He will commit some sinful activities. But by practice of devotional service, the desire itself goes away.
Correct. That's one example. Other example? No, not Vidya, Bijam. For Bijam, what was the discussion? Prabhupada is also giving that whole discussion.
Kunjavat.
Kunjera Shauchavat. So that whole discussion with the conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami. So by all the other processes like Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, only the sinful reactions are destroyed, but the Bijam are not destroyed. The material desires, the sinful proclivities, they are not destroyed. So for that, what is the verse? Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana aham dunmantika sneha niharam eva bhaskara. So, yes, that is for Bijam. And then for Avidya? Okay, one is that verse Yat Pada Pankaja Palasha Vilas. Anybody read the purport to that? No. Okay, take it. Baad mein put it, no problem. But what is the significant point in that verse?
Simple.
Higher taste. Yad Pada Pankaja Palasha Vilasa Bhaktya. Those devotees who are relishing at every moment the devotional service to the Lord. Then for them it is possible. Karmashayam gratitam udgratayanti santaha. Santa means devotees. For the Jnanis and Yogis, it is not possible. And then we also may give another point from the first canto. What? When is the avidya totally destroyed? Yes. So when is the false ego totally destroyed? That happens at what level? Prema. Yes. Yes. Nishtha it starts, but then ultimately at bhava and prema, the false ego, the avidya is totally destroyed. So that is why vidyate hridaya granthis chidyante sarva samshaya. Because avidya is totally destroyed, so therefore then all doubts are finished. No more doubts as to who am I. It's a basic question, no? Who am I? But to understand that, one has to come to prema. Amazing.
If it is destroyed at the level of bhava, then why Bharat Maharaj's case study is there? He fell at the stage of bhava.
Of course, Bharat Maharaj's case is special. One thing is, the Lord, actually the Acharya's comment that the Lord himself orchestrated that pastime to show everyone, especially the sadhakas, how one needs to be extremely careful, avoiding material attachments in one's practice. Otherwise, normally it doesn't happen. Normally, somebody on the level of bhava and prem doesn't fall down. That is special case.
Again, just a follow-up question that he took again 3 births to get. Could have gone in 1 birth only, now if it's a special pastime.
No, then he had to be born as a deer, na? Then after having been born as a deer, then again he has to get human birth. So that is necessary. Okay, so that's how all the stages of sin are destroyed by the practice of devotional service. And so devotional service is extremely powerful. All types of sins, all levels of sins, everything is destroyed. So even there are various gradations of sins. Pataka, Mahapataka, Ati Pataka. So different gradations of sins. Just like there is Rati, Maharati, Atirati. So like that. So severity of sinful activities. Some are not so sinful, more sinful, very sinful, like killing of Brahmana, very sinful. So, but whatever be the type of sin, the intensity of sin, everything can be nullified by the practice of devotional service. That is the power of devotional service. Okay, so then at the end we came to this question that, okay, so the cause of suffering is these three: the sinful activities, the material desires, and avidya. So then all of them are destroyed with the practice of devotional service. Then if all of that is destroyed by the practice of devotional service, then logically speaking, a devotee should not suffer. Correct? Because all the causes of suffering are destroyed. And if all the causes of suffering are destroyed, then devotee should not suffer, but still be fine. Devotees go through suffering. Why? So, I know you all know the answer. All Pandits. But in any case, we will give some Shastric references. Good. This is a nice statement. One second. And all these stages of vicious life, prarabdha is the fountain source of all. And from this storehouse of vicious life, all other stages develop. So that prarabdha is like storehouse. All the sinful reactions are stored and then they manifest in the future. And all these stages of vicious life become at once switched off. One switch. Adoption of devotional service. So here he's saying, a quote from the CC: simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna once, person is relieved from all reactions of sinful life. And also every day we do Tulsi Pradakshina, right? So how many times you did Pradakshina? Huh? Till now, how many times you did? So anyway, so many times. Okay, next. So this comes later on in the Nectar of Devotion, 10th chapter. So there Prabhupada writes, a devotee should not expect immediate relief from the reactions of his past misdeeds. And a devotee who is not perfectly freed from the resultant actions should therefore continue to act in Krishna consciousness seriously, even though there may be so many impediments. So that means a devotee is supposed to expect difficulties, impediments while practicing devotional service. Good. And then, of course, we have Sarvadharman Parityaja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo. So then why does the devotee suffer? That's the question. Okay. And this is from Giraj Maharaj's lecture. That is, Srila Prabhupada has extended Krishna's statement in Bhagavad Gita, that is Sarvadharman Parityaja, to the spiritual master who is Krishna's representative, that if you surrender to the spiritual master, the time of initiation, you become free from all sinful reactions. So then the question is, are we actually free from all sinful reactions immediately when we surrender, or do we gradually become free? So that is the question. Okay. Okay, now read. This is from Giraj Maharaj. नहीं आज पीछे से शुरू करो वो he is hankering for reading.
Srila Prabhupada has given some other hints. which could help us resolve this question. He had said that when the devotee surrenders to Krishna, Krishna will take charge of the devotee's sinful reaction and use the devotee's sinful reaction for the best benefit of the devotee.
Yes, so this is what is the understanding, that Krishna takes charge of the devotee's sinful reactions and uses the devotee's sinful reactions for the best benefit of the devotee. So that means, in one sense, they're not totally nullified. So they may be there, but the difference is now the reactions are not given by, yes, Mayadeva Prakriti, but the reactions are given directly by Krishna. That is the difference. So that means now Krishna has the prerogative to modify those reactions, increase, decrease, adjust, modify. So he'll play around. For what? Yes, for the best benefit of the devotee. He knows what is best for the devotee to intensify his devotional service. And based upon that, then he will use those sinful reactions. Wait. We'll complete the discussion, then take questions. Let's complete. Okay, go ahead now. Okay, so we all know this famous verse, Tatyanukampam Susumikshimana. And then we will be discussing this once again in the 10th chapter. So we won't get into too many details now, because again we'll be discussing. But few things we'll discuss. Okay, please read this. This is commentary on that verse, Tatyanukampam verse.
Because in his mind, a devotee may still maintain the remnants of his previous sinful mentality. The Lord removes the last vestiges of the enjoying spirit by giving his devotee punishments that may sometimes resemble sinful reactions. Although a devotee has surrendered to the Lord's devotional service until he is completely perfect in Krishna consciousness, he may maintain a slight inclination to enjoy the false happiness of this world.
Okay. So the devotee may still maintain remnants of previous sinful mentality. It doesn't go off immediately, right? So because as long as the false ego is there is going to be some enjoying mentality. Naturally. Because false ego means bodily misconception. Bodily misconception means enjoying mentality. So that means still one comes to the level of prema, some vestiges, some remnants of that enjoying mentality are going to be there. And when the Lord sees that enjoying mentality, then the Lord is very upset. And there are those famous verses in the CC. Bolo? So there Krishna is thinking, Arey, this fellow is so foolish, this devotee. He's got the nectar of devotional service, but he is attracted to the poison of sense gratification. So Krishna says, I am not so foolish. So what I will do? Swa Channamrita Diya Vishaya Bhulaiba. So Krishna says, I'll give my Channamrit and make him forget the sense objects. But how Krishna will give Channamrit, that's very inconceivable. Not very easy, like getting Channamrit here. So that Channamrit comes in the form of what? Yes. That Channamrit comes in the form of punishments. We'll give you another nice reference and purport in this connection, but we'll just... So that is how the Lord, he gives punishments that may sometimes resemble sinful reactions. That means it appears like the punishment given to any other materialistic person. So materialistic person also suffers, devotee also suffers. Externally it may appear to be the same. But the difference is what? The difference is this is given by Krishna himself. Krishna himself gives this punishment. Until he is completely perfect in Krishna consciousness, so he can have this desire to enjoy. And for that, Krishna gives him punishment so that he develops that realization that this place is no place to enjoy. So, His Holiness Ranat Maharaj tells that how once he had gone to some Mayavadi organization and he saw that everything was very nicely maintained, organized, everything was very pakka. So he was speaking to those managers of that organization and he was discussing some things and he was saying that, oh, your organization is managed so nicely. In ISKCON, we have difficulties managing the organization so perfectly. So that man seemed to have some knowledge. So that man said, yes, that is obvious. Because you're worshipping Krishna, it is not possible. समझ में नहीं आया? Dynamic is one thing. But the point is that worshippers, Mayavadis, usually they worship Lord Shiva. So as far as Lord Shiva is concerned, he is Ashutosh. So he easily fulfills material desires. ठीक है. So then everything goes well. From material perspective, everything goes well. But Krishna doesn't allow a devotee to relax materially. Because the Lord wants to make sure that devotee gets the realization that this is dukkhalayam. So in order to get that realization, then there has to be dukkha. If there is no dukkha, how one will get realization that this is dukkhalayam? So therefore we find in devotee's life, practically no one is spared. नीचे से ऊपर तक nobody is spared. GBC, sannyasi, TP, whatever you name it. No, वो अच्छा है, PDC to GBC. So nobody is spared. Krishna makes sure everyone gets his quota. Nobody is spared. So, therefore, this understanding is very important. That this Krishna is purposefully doing. One has to understand this. This is Krishna's doing. This is Krishna's mischief. His leela with his devotees. So that devotee gets that realization that I need to surrender to Krishna and totally give up this enjoying mentality. Krishna wants to make sure that devotee gets that realization. This place is no place to enjoy. So as soon as devotee gets into a little bit of cozy zone, relaxed moods, material world is not so bad. Then immediately Krishna will throw the bomb. Over the years, we have seen it again and again and again. And it's a fact. Till what? Completely perfect in Krishna consciousness. Till that time, Krishna will continue to give. So there's no need to be surprised. No need to be surprised. Sometimes devotees say, oh, in ISKCON mein ye problem hai, wo problem hai. Nothing to be surprised. So, one has to understand these problems are only meant for us to get this realization. So therefore, there's no point in saying he has problem or there is problem. No. Understand that I have problem and how can I solve my problem? That is most important. Okay, next. आगे पढ़ो.
The Lord therefore creates a particular situation to eradicate this remaining indwelling spirit. This unhappiness suffered by a sincere devotee is not technically a karmic reaction. It is rather the Lord's special mercy for inducing his devotee to completely let go of the material world and return home back to Godhead.
Yes. It is what? Lord's special mercy. So if there's suffering, what one should think? Special mercy. चाहिए कि नहीं? Huh? But one thing, special mercy means what? Rasgulla, gulab jamun. That is special mercy. Huh? Huh? हाँ, लेकिन उस टाइम वो याद रहना मुश्किल है. अभी बोलना आसान है. When actually something is taken away, फिर one question, अरे ऐसा कैसे हो गया? हाँ, इतना मान भक्त हो मैं. हाँ, but one has to understand this is what? Special mercy. Why? That means what? The Lord is taking care of you. That is the meaning. If the Lord is interfering in our life, that means He's taking some special care. He's taking note of you and He's reciprocating personally. That is special, no? If just like if Prime Minister or President is reciprocating with you, he is dealing with you, that means you're a special person, right? See, so many citizens are there in the country, but if the Prime Minister is calling you and inquiring something, what does it mean? You're special, no? Now this is Supreme Lord, much above any Prime Minister or President. He is taking personal care of you. Then how special you are? So you should be happy or sad? Think about it. So when suffering comes, one should be very happy. Krishna is personally taking care of me. बोलना कितना आसान है ना? Sometimes the speaker keeps speaking, then the speaker only gets tested. Then it becomes difficult to remember what has been spoken. But this is a fact. This is fact. If we can only remember this, then one's devotional service can go very peacefully. If one can just remember this one statement, it is special mercy. Then one can be very happy. Just like we find when a person is diseased, he goes to the doctor. Doctor orders surgery. So a person goes through the surgery, there's a lot of trouble, right? There's a lot of trouble. There was one devotee, not was, there is. There's one devotee in one ISKCON center, and he finished his education, engineering only, and he started doing a job. And then he was thinking of changing that job to a better job and working for some years and then joining the temple. So this was going on. I think so he had just applied for another job and he was going to get it or he got it, something like that. So he was trying to go in that direction of a better job. So at that time, he got a toothache. So he got toothache, the toothache was not going. So he went to the dentist gave some medicine, but still it was not going. And so they did sonography, I suppose. And what was there was a tumor in the jawbone. A tumor in the jawbone. And then for that, he had to undergo such a major surgery. Because it is in the bone. So this entire part had to be removed. Here, this entire part had to be removed. And then, now this is a big hole here. Then to cover this, then they grafted skin from the leg. Not only skin, but some muscle also. So they took some part of a muscle from one part of the leg, skin from another part, that they had to stitch it out here. And then some part of the leg was exposed. Then that had to be covered. Like that, 2-3 operations had to be done for that. It was a major surgery, 4-5 hours surgery. And and obviously he can't eat anything, nothing, for many days. And then recently, then because the skin from the leg was put over here, so then some hair started growing internally. Then for that they had to do some laser treatment, something. That was of course not a major, the small surgery sort of thing, but then he had to undergo that recently. And of course then the entire face obviously was deformed. The entire face was deformed. So after he underwent that surgery, when I went to, and I saw, I couldn't recognize him actually. I couldn't recognize him. And he had to come and tell me I'm that same person. Very wonderful devotee actually. But so then during all this major surgery and all this period that he went through, so at that time when he was going to go through the surgery, he informed his parents and family members, and they said, come home, we will manage everything, take care of you and all that. But somehow this devotee, he had developed some attachment to devotees and all that. So he said, because he understood if he goes home, then devotional service will be very difficult. So then he refused, and he continued to stay. And the devotees took care of everything. Devotees took care of everything during this entire, such a difficult time. But devotees took care of everything. And because of that, he developed a great attachment to devotees, and all plans for job were finished. There's no question of any other job. So he immediately just joined the temple after that. There was no question of anything else. So he's wonderfully serving now. But there was that sort of, he was not very fixed at that point of time enjoining, and Krishna orchestrated this incident for him to give up all other attachments. And then after this whole surgery, many months passed, and then recently he went home to see his parents and family members, and they were insisting that देखो क्या हो रहा है तुम्हारा, घर आ जाओ. So they were insisting that he should come home, and they were crying this, that, so many things. But he was determined. No. Because now he has got sufficient realization. So Krishna does this. We have seen many devotees, especially at the point of joining, when a person is in some two minds. We have seen many devotees go through this during that juncture, so that the devotee gives up his material attachments and joins without any thoughts. There was another devotee who was a nice devotee, chanting 16 rounds and everything. But anyway, he had got a job, and then he became a little deela in his practices. Maybe I told this in the Bhakti Shastri class. Maybe, I don't remember. So I think so, he even reduced his chanting, and so he became very deela. So then what happened was, so this devotee is from Kanpur. So then one day he had his job in Delhi, and so he was going to Kanpur one day. So just before the Kanpur station, there is one station where, due to some signal reasons, almost all trains stop over there for some time. That station is called Panki. I don't know if anyone has traveled on that route. So it's just before the Kanpur station. And so this devotee was traveling, and it was night time. And so the train stopped over there, and this devotee was ready to get down at Kanpur. So he took all his baggage, everything, and he stood at the gate of the bogie, the compartment, along with his luggage. And he opened the gate of the compartment, and he was standing. And it was pitch dark all around, night time. And he was standing there. He had his laptop bag and his luggage. And all of a sudden, a man came from the dark, snatched his laptop bag, and ran away. Now, if it was anything else, maybe he would have thought, "Theek hai." But it was laptop. So this devotee immediately, spontaneously, he jumped off the train. The train stopped. He jumped off and he ran behind the man. And so the man, he went into the darkness, and then he came to some house or something. And that was a hideout of dacoits. There was a gang of dacoits there. And this boy is alone. And so he went over there, and he's demanding his laptop back. Now what they are going to listen? So anyway, was requesting, begging, whatever. They gave the laptop back, but they took all his money, severely beat him up. They had weapons. And then they left him. And then fortunately the train had not moved all the while. So he got on the train again, and so actually when I had seen him in Delhi, so he had a huge bandage around his head. So that is when I asked him, what happened? So then he told me this. So then he became very serious in his devotional practices. This is Krishna. This is how Krishna works. This is how he works. This is actually a warning to everyone. It's a fact. From whatever little experience I have personally, I can tell with great conviction. At any point of time, if a devotee becomes lax in his devotional service, Krishna doesn't sit quietly. He cannot tolerate. That's what you see. This what is being written here. This unhappiness suffered by sincere devotee. So if a devotee is sincere, but then he becomes little dhila, Krishna cannot tolerate. Then Krishna will definitely, I can tell you 100%, Krishna will take steps. 100%. Don't think Krishna is sleeping somewhere in Golok Vrindavan. 100%. Anyone becomes dhila, Krishna will do the needful. It's a fact. Why? Lord's special mercy for inducing his devotee to completely let go of the material world and return home back to Godhead. See, even now he's sleeping. So peaceful. Krishna will wake up everyone. So this is one of the main reasons. This is one of the main reasons why devotees go through suffering. What? What is that? Yes. The vestiges of enjoying mentality. This is one of the main reasons. When Krishna sees this enjoying mentality, then Krishna will do the needful. Okay, so famous verse, we know this. Yasyam anugrannami harishe tadhanam shanai tato dhanam tyajantasya swajana dukkha dukkitam. Personality of God. So the Lord is telling to Yudhishthira Maharaj, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. So two distresses he goes through. What is that? One is his wealth, and second is swajana. Relatives, friends desert him. So two types of distress he goes through. And in this way, he suffers one distress after another. Okay? Okay. Same thing. This is from Madhuri Kadamini. Vishwanath Thakur is saying. Nirdhanatvat maharogo mad anugraha lakshanam. The awesome affliction known as poverty is in fact a sign of mercy. The truth is that the Supreme Lord, the greatest benefactor of his devotees, purposely inflicts suffering on his devotees just to increase their humility and yearning for him. We have seen these things. Devotee becomes proud, devotee becomes materially attached, The Lord doesn't tolerate. Lord doesn't tolerate. Then the Lord has to do something. Thus, the devotees' woes are not because of fruitive reactions, nor are they reactions of prarabdha sins. It is all what? Orchestration of the Lord. The Lord is doing that. Supreme Lord purposely. Why he does that? The greatest benefactor of his devotees. That is why he does that. Because he cannot tolerate the disease. So when he sees the disease, then treatment has to be given. Then he gives the treatment. The only difference is, in this world we go to the doctor for treatment. There Krishna gives the treatment without asking. Free of cost. Free of cost. Treatment free of cost. So why? Increase the humility and yearning for him. So when the devotee is put into such distressful condition, then one thinks, oh Krishna, no other shelter, save me. That is what Krishna wants. But when one goes through those situations, in order to be in the right consciousness and not to get some wrong understanding, the association of devotees is very important. Because at that time, to remember philosophy is not so easy. Then the devotees have to remind us of the philosophy. Therefore, the association is very important. Okay? Now, the second reason why devotees suffer is offenses. This is the second reason. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti is quoting from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu only. Kete aparadha vipendra namno bhagavata kritaha vinignanti nrinam krityam prakritam jnanayanti. O best of the Brahmanas, offenses against the holy name result in a person losing all piety, and for him, the mundane manifests in transcendental objects. This is the result of offense. The result of offense is what? He loses all piety and mundane manifests in transcendental objects. What does this mean? Next. Read.
What is the destructive nature of these offenses against the holy name? Hearing and chanting the Lord's holy name, qualities, and so on bestows prema. Visiting places of the pilgrimage connected with the Lord's pastimes rewards one with perfection, and regularly honoring the Lord's prasadam subdues the senses. Yet nama aparad is so
devastating
that although transcendental and completely spiritual, these activities appear mundane. How serious are these offenses that can cause such a
phenomenon? So this is the result of offense. So all these transcendental activities like hearing and chanting the Lord's holy name qualities, visiting place of pilgrimage, regularly honoring the Lord's prasadam, all these transcendental activities will appear to be mundane. And when they appear to be mundane, then no taste, no taste. Then how can one continue without taste? Then one will give up. Then when one gives up, back to material life. Back to material life of suffering. That is what happens. So, this is the result of offense. So, this is the second reason why devotees suffer, because of offenses. This is one of the main obstacles on the path of devotional service. So we read the 10 offenses in the morning quite casually. The reader and the hearers both are very casual about the whole thing. But that's very serious. That is one of the main obstacles on the practice of devotional service. The offenses. So, because this is what happens. Okay? Wait, we'll just finish this. Okay, read this.
One may say that the offender against the holy name is condemned to develop aversion to God, making it impossible for him to remain firmly fixed in devotional service under the guidance of his guru. This is certainly true. It is also true that just as a very sick patient loses his appetite, a grievous offender to the holy name loses his attachment for hearing, chanting, and other devotional activities. However, just as the patient's sickness abates after some time, his appetite gradually returning. So, also, when the offender's sensual cravings decrease after a long period of sense enjoyment, his interest in devotional service is rekindled.
Yes. So, when the offense is atoned for, there is some prayashchitta, and there is deep regrets, repentance, and there is rectification. So when there is repentance and rectification, and as the disease gradually decreases, the offensive mentality decreases, then gradually the taste for devotional activities will gradually come again. Okay, so those are the main two reasons why devotees suffer. One is the enjoying mentality, and the second is offenses. A little more details on the subject matter we will discuss when we come to chapter 10. Okay, so we have already read this. That's the end of this. Okay, that's the end of this discussion on Kleshagni. Some questions with? Okay, you have the mic. Ask.
So, Prabhuji, Krishna, at what stage is interfering in the life of
Common question. You just go back. So one thing we showed you, sincere devotee. There's another thing. Jao. Okay. So, although a devotee has surrendered to the Lord's devotional service until he is completely perfect in Krishna consciousness. So he surrendered. So, in our moments, we can, at least technically we can say anyone who is seriously chanting 16 rounds, following the 4 regulative principles, and following Guru's instructions and going ahead can be taken to be a surrendered devotee.
Krishna interfere in that?
And of course, the principle of ye yatha mam prapadyante always remains. But in any case, as soon as Srila Prabhupada also in his lectures, he says, as soon as one begins chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna takes notes. So as soon as one begins chanting Hare Krishna, then he is under Krishna's supervision. Then he is a special person. So then Krishna begins reciprocating with him. And then when one is more serious, then Krishna takes him very seriously. So better to remain little dhila dala, right? Then Krishna won't take us also seriously. But then Krishna is his agent. So if Krishna doesn't take us seriously, then Maya will take us seriously. Either way, one cannot escape. That is the point. Okay?
As you told that one of the reason is offenses to the holy name. But we see every devotee has to pass through the stage of Namaprad, because that's the standard process. Once we cross Namaprad, then Namabhas. So it's like by default we have to suffer in any case, because one reason, as you told, is Krishna gives to make a devotee humble, to increase his yearning. But again, it's like saying you have to fall into the ditch, then you will rise up.
So now it depends on the devotee how quickly he passes through the offensive stage. That is within my choice, right? Okay, fine. I may go through the offensive stage, but then how quickly I give up the offenses, that is my choice.
And moreover, if we go thoda aage de, my head, that quote from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
Okay, so as far as that quote is concerned of somebody losing taste for all the spiritual, that is when one commits very serious offenses. And please note, when we talk of offense, when we talk of namaprads, it specifically refers to one who purposefully, knowingly does it. Somebody who knowingly offends a Vaishnav out of envy to pull him down, these are serious offenses. Those effects will not take place just if it is some unknowingly committed offense, not very serious, not for that. Of course, to some degree effect is there. Why? As we read in the second canto, why are we not experiencing ecstatic symptoms while chanting? So to some degree, if we are not experiencing the full taste of chanting, that means offenses are taking place. This is absolute disaster. That is what has been mentioned. But to some degree, those effects we are experiencing. Do we have full realization of the transcendental nature of the holy name or Mahaprasadam? No, we don't have that full realization. Why? It's because of offenses. So depending upon the gravity of the offenses, then there will be the seriousness of the consequences. But we also are experiencing the effects of offenses. That is why we don't have the taste. And if we continue to keep the offense and to do the offenses and not sincerely try to overcome them, then this disaster will take place. When one will completely lose taste and will totally give up devotional service. It will happen if you are not serious. So yes, one, because of all the material conditionings and the material propensities, then the offenses take place because of that. So we can't help it because we are in the material world. But when I understand that the offenses are dangerous, then I must sincerely try to give them up. If I don't sincerely try to give them up, then I have to face the consequences. Okay? Okay?
Till suppose Krishna has given some punishment and we are able to understand that, okay, I have done mistake. And after certain time, we are able to practice seriously our Krishna consciousness. But again, we forget. Then again, we become loose. So
and again punishment. It goes on.
So some it requires some sincerity there.
Definitely. 2 words Prabhupada has repeated in both purports and lectures. Millions of times. What?
Serious and
Sincere and serious. These two things we have to improve. We have to improve. If we don't improve, Krishna will give one slap after the other. Be ready for it. I can tell you with full guarantee on the basis of Shastra. There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt. If we don't improve that sincerity and seriousness, one will have to face it. It's a fact. We have seen devotees going through such challenges, such challenges. Everyone. Right? If we don't, that when Krishna is trying to give a message and we don't take it seriously, so it is just like examination. If we don't pass the examination, then what will happen? Re-examination, no? Re-examination. Then the exam will come again. Till the time we pass the examination, what will happen? Re-examination. Can't escape. Can't escape. Okay. Anything else? Good.
When we are offensive, like let us say somebody is offensive, so the problem is that he cannot understand his offensive.
Correct.
If he understands, then he will overcome immediately.
Correct.
And you were mentioning once in 14th chapter, because of Rajoguna and Tamoguna, we cannot
Correct.
understand.
Yes.
So, and when we stay in association of devotees, we say that devotee fears Prabhuji. It's when we ask also devotees, Prabhuji.
So any Tom, Dick and Harry is not going to tell. So therefore we need to be accountable to at least one person.
But there are three feedbacks. One is feedback from superior's feedback, that is what accountability to one person. Another is known as self-feedback, and rational information, that is peer feedback. So in peer...
peers may not be very comfortable to always give a feedback for improvement. That is correct.
But
because they want to maintain friendship. And usually the tendency in the world is, if somebody gives some room for improvement, then one thinks he's not friend. So therefore there's a fear to give feedback.
But if somebody asks, then...
No, even if somebody asks, usually when somebody asks for feedback, he's expecting positive feedback.
No, but if somebody expects for improvement, means for example, Srila Bhakti Thakurji says, then...
This is psychology. This is psychology. At the end of a class, if I ask for feedback, I'm mostly expecting positive feedback.
But along with some...
This is psychology in the conditioned state. I'm telling you from my own experience. Comments means what? People are expecting some appreciation. That is what they're expecting. So sometimes the speaker says any comments, and so sometimes when I'm sitting, then the speaker expects some feedback from me. So sometimes they forcefully give the mic. No, say something. Forcefully they give the mic, and I know what to say. Thank you for the very nice class. Bas. They're happy about it. No, I'm not saying about others, it applies to me also. This is the natural psychology. So therefore, usually only a superior who has genuine concern will give some points for improvement. So therefore, the spiritual master is so important. Or In the current situation, we can say some representative of the spiritual master, with whom we have such a relationship and who can give such. If we have such a relationship amongst peers, that's good. That's good. If we have some peer who can do it, that's also good. But with somebody, we need to have that relation. Or alternatively, of course, I won't say alternatively. The Shastri doesn't give alternatively, actually. But due to whatever circumstances, if one doesn't have that, then as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dadami Buddhi Yoga. So that Prabhupada is explaining that purport. That due to whatever reason, if one doesn't have a spiritual master or one is not able to access spiritual master, whatever reason, then but the devotee is very sincere, then Krishna gives intelligence from within. But that cannot be our situation. In our situation, we have so many devotees. So we definitely should take shelter of devotees and seek feedback, seek improvement, try to find out from them, am I on the right path? This is our duty to find out.
Here, what happens is the general condition is that when we report to superior, we report only positive things, and
then that is whose problem?
That is one's own problem.
And then,
but
so if a patient goes to doctor and tells the doctor, I'm all right, I'm perfectly all right, then what doctor will do? No, go home. Why you came here?
Saying is one thing, but when it goes to really actually, because the point is that we know that is wrong and somehow that foolishly we have done it, and to express it to superior, then one feels that, oh, it's already, I know him, it is foolishness, but still I committed. मैंने कर दिया, वो नहीं करना था. But to report it, it requires a great humility.
So now you have to decide whether I need the treatment or not. You decide. If you feel you are capable of giving the treatment yourself, or Krishna will give the treatment, whatever. If you are ready for that, then it's fine.
But that may be a hard treatment.
That's what I'm saying. You have to decide now. See, one cannot escape that austerity. So just like Srila Prabhupada says that one has got a disease. So one has got a disease usually due to one's own past misdeeds, correct? Whatever it is, due to one's own past misdeeds, I've got a disease. Then I have to go through the treatment, right? The treatment is painful. But if I don't take the treatment, what will happen? It will become worse. Then there will be more pain. So two choices I have. One choice is go through the pain of the treatment, or the second choice is go through the pain of more disease. In either case, it is I can't escape it. Because I have committed a mistake, I have to face the pain. That's a reaction. I have to face it. I cannot escape it. Either one does it voluntarily or one will be forced. I can't escape. So if I think, oh, it is painful to admit my mistake and face the reaction, if I think that is painful and I don't do it, then what will happen? I'll have to face some other pain. It will come in some other form, but I have to face it. I can't escape. So then we have to decide. You got the answer? Okay. I think so we'll proceed now. Okay, go ahead. Because we'll again discuss this because it's definitely an important topic for devotees. We'll discuss a few more points in the 10th chapter in connection to that. Okay, next lesson. Next lesson. So we go to the further characteristics. Let's read. So the next one is Krishna consciousness, all auspicious. So please read.
Srila Rupa Goswami has given a definition of auspiciousness. He says that actual auspiciousness means welfare activities for all the people of the world. At present moment, groups of people are engaged in welfare activities in terms of society, community, or nation. There is even an attempt in the form of United Nations for World Health Activity. But due to the shortcomings of limited national activities, such a general mass welfare program for the whole world is not practically possible. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, is so nice that it can render the highest benefit for the entire human race. Everyone can be attracted by this movement and everyone can feel the result. Therefore, Rupa Goswami and the other learned scholars agree that a broad propaganda program for the Krishna consciousness movement of devotional service all over the world is the highest humanitarian activity, welfare activity.
One more paragraph.
How the Krishna consciousness movement can attract the attention of the whole world and how each and every man can feel pleasure in this Krishna consciousness is stated in the Padma Purana as follows. A person who is engaged in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness is to be understood to be doing the best service to the whole world and to be pleasing everyone in the world. In addition to human society, he is pleasing even the trees and animals because they also become attracted by such a movement. A practical example of this was shown by Lord Chaitanya when he was traveling through the forest of Jharkhand in central India for spreading his Sankirtan movement. The tigers, the elephants, the deer, and all the other wild animals joined him and were participating in their own ways by dancing and chanting Hare Krishna.
That paragraph is continuing. No?
Furthermore, a person engaged in Krishna consciousness, acting in devotional service.
Okay, fine. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's next paragraph actually. Okay. Any case, I was reminded of one more point. So yesterday I just happened to be hearing one lecture of His Holiness Haldar Maharaj. And so there one devotee asked about astrology. So yesterday that discussion came up and I happened to hear this. Huh? You also heard? Good. Okay, so you tell what Maharaj said. No, you tell. I don't know whether you are referring to the same lecture I heard, but in any case, the principle is the same. Bolo.
So basically what Maharaj was telling that, serving under Guru, and that is more important, Nowadays, for every small thing, people go for checking astrology. That's not required. That's what he told in small clip. I heard 3 or 4 minutes it was.
So basically he said, and we know this, quoting Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj, he gives those 3 examples, isn't it? In the presence of the parents, child dies. In the presence of the best of doctors, patient dies. In the presence of the best of ships, a person sinks. So he says that it is not to the credit of the doctor or the medicine that a person can be cured of disease. As long as the prarabdha is there, whatever the person does, his disease will remain. When the prarabdha ends, then some doctor's medicine works and the doctor gets the credit. It's a fact actually. We have seen this. Sometimes devotees also, they have some chronic disease, they go to this doctor. So many doctors they go through. And nobody is able to cure. And then all of a sudden he goes to one doctor and that doctor's medicine works. And then that doctor is made very famous by that devotee. And then what happens is, then many other devotees start going to that doctor, but there is no effect. But they don't experience the same effect. Why? He's giving same type of medicine. He has the same expertise. Why it's working for some and not working for others? Ah. So therefore, so then Maharaj was giving his personal experience that once he was very sick. He had some problem, and when he was on Sankirtan, and so he didn't want to consult his Guru Maharaj, but somehow devotees sort of forced him. And so he went to his Guru Maharaj and then told him that his problem. And then Maharaj said, just chant the holy name. As he told, huh? So of course one may say that, okay, on that platform it is possible, one has so much faith in the holy name. But whether one has faith or not, the fact remains the same. Especially for devotees. Especially for devotees. Why? Because that suffering is given by whom? Krishna himself. So if Krishna doesn't remove the suffering, how much ever I try, what is going to happen? Nothing is going to happen. Because Krishna is giving the suffering. So of course, then somebody may ask the question, then should I try to get relief or no? Okay, we can try. We can try. What's that?
Somebody says,
It depends.
on level of faith.
It depends. So of course, so if now we can question our own level of faith. So if I don't have that much faith that yes, Krishna is doing the needful, if I don't have that much amount of faith, and can faith be forced? No, it can't be forced. So if I go to consult some devotee, and that devotee tells me, just have faith in the holy name, but I don't have faith. That's a problem. So therefore, you know that pastime of how one devotee went to Srila Prabhupada and asked, should I take divorce or no? You know that pastime? Then what Prabhupada said? Yes. Why he said yes? So it is same thing. So if I ask a devotee, should I go to the doctor or no? Then what the devotee will say? For what? That same reason. Because I don't have that much amount of faith. So if I don't have that much amount of faith and I'm suffering from the disease, correct? I'm suffering from the disease and the senior devotee says, don't go. Then what will I do? I will blame that devotee. I will say, see, this devotee is saying, don't go to the doctor and I'm suffering so much, this devotee is crazy. That is what I will say. Correct? Because I can't tolerate the suffering, nor do I have faith in Krishna. Then whom will I blame? The devotee. So why will the devotee do that? The devotee says, go to the doctor. So therefore in most cases, and to develop that level of faith is not an overnight business. It's not overnight business. So therefore, okay, go. Therefore, go. Go and see for yourself whether it works or not. And then go through the process. Right? It may work sometimes, it may not work sometimes. But even if it works, we should know for sure that it has worked because because Krishna has sanctioned it. Without Krishna's sanction, the medicine is not going to work. That's what Prahlad Maharaj says, correct? Yes, that is the fact. Whether we have faith in it or not, that's a fact. But if I don't have faith, then okay, fine, no problem. One can try various things. I have my own experiences in this regard. I had a backache and I was going to so many doctors. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. But then I went to one doctor, it worked. But now I am convinced of this fact that it is not because of that person. It is only because Krishna has sanctioned it. That is the only reason. Right. So therefore Maharaj says that same thing with astrologer. See, first of all, astrologer, he is only dealing with Prakriti. Correct? He is only dealing with Prakriti, material nature and material nature's reactions. But devotee's problem is due to what? Krishna. Then what astrologer knows about Krishna then? Neither can he do anything, because Krishna is controlling everything. What he can do? So it is again the same business. Okay, you try out. Try. Keep trying. If Krishna sanctions, something will work. Otherwise, nothing will work. This is a fact. You have something to say?
Many times devotees refer astrologers, like some Rahu dosh, Mangal dosh is there, and some yajna is performed to remove that dosha. So if Krishna is giving, then how this dosha comes into the picture? That's the first consideration. And
What? Say that again?
Like if some dosha is there in their astrology, they do some yajna to remove that dosh. This is like standard outside people also they follow. So how we, even devotees also do this thing. And even in marriages also, although husband and wife both are devotees.
No, marriage Prabhupada is allowed, because checking psychophysical nature, that requires astrological charts and all that. That is because why? If both boy and girl are 100% pure devotees, then there's no problem. But the problem is they're not 100% pure, right? Then psychophysical nature comes into play. Therefore, it's needed.
Even apart from psychophysical.
Okay, leave the marriage discussion aside.
Okay. Other than that, also some devotee may have some doshas.
Okay.
So some yajna is done to remove that dosha. So if Krishna is giving, then why that yajna?
Krishna is giving what?
The all pains and whatever we were discussing. So one thing. So if Krishna is only
so that's what. So Krishna is giving, and that dosha will go if Krishna sanctions. If Krishna doesn't sanction, it will not go. That is the point.
And as you told, you give example like of doctor. Many devotees try different doctors, but until Krishna sanctions, it does not work. So many times we see in our movement, like to give an example, like Param Pujya Jayapadaka Maharaj, he was like at one point of time, he was about to leave his plant only. And he says in many lectures also, I was about to leave, but Krishna said, and that's why I am still alive. So how to understand this in this?
Yes, so fine. So ultimately it's all Krishna's sanction. So we have to do our part. We may do our part, but we have to have faith that the medicine will work only when Krishna sanctions. That is our faith. So taking the medicine, if it is required, then taking the medicine is our part. But we have to have that faith that the medicine will work only when Krishna sanctions. That is the faith we need to have. So at the same time, if other devotees are advising us to go to a doctor and take treatment, then we can do that. If that's the advice devotees are giving, then we can do that. But at the same time, we have to have that faith and conviction that unless Krishna sanctions,
if anyway Krishna sanctions or not, if we are having death, anyway we will die. So then why bring doctor at all into picture then?
If one has that much amount of faith, then it's fine. If one has that much amount of faith and one is ready to tolerate the suffering that one is going through, then it's fine.
One more example I'll give. Like suppose one devotee gets a heart attack. So if he would have gone to doctor, then that heart we can put some, nowadays pacemaker is there. So he survived. Otherwise he would have died. And now we have seen so many devotees also, some they get heart attack. So how to see this then?
So again, it's the same principle. The principle remains the same. Because Krishna has sanctioned, otherwise one can do surgery, that people die also, no? People die also after that. Then why some die and some survive? Because Krishna has sanctioned, that's why he's surviving. So therefore, the credit is not to the procedure or to the doctor. He is simply an instrument in Krishna's hands. So yes, we can go through that procedure. See, going to the doctor and going through the procedure is also Krishna's sanction, because by going through that, then we go through some purification, right? If we go to the doctor and he does surgery, that is painful, right? That is also purification. And that's why Krishna is allowing that also to take place, because Krishna wants me to go through that purification. Everything is controlled. That's what we were hearing in today's class in the morning. Prabhupada is saying, we are not independent. Everything is controlled. So see that the austerity of taking the bitter medicine or going through the surgery, that also Krishna is sanctioning. Why? For my purification. See, if I don't go to the doctor, and say my quota of suffering has finished, and Aram said just goes off. But then where is the purification? Of course, the disease is the purification, but Krishna wants to give some more purification. Therefore, he allows me to go to the doctor to go through that purification. It's all controlled. This is, as devotees, we need to have this faith that I am 100% controlled. This is what is meant by devotee. Devotee means what? His full faith in Krishna. And therefore, Haldar Maharaj is so heavy against it, going to astrologers. He's saying this is absolute nonsense. He's totally against it. So, as I told yesterday also, when a devotee asks Prabhupada this question, should I go to doctor or just depend on Prabhupada? Says better to depend on Krishna. But again, as I said, that Krishna only will give the intelligence to the devotee to go to the doctor, to go through some more purification. You go to the doctor, purification only takes place, no? Purification in terms of money also, in terms of medicine also, in terms of time also. So some more purification. So therefore Krishna gives that intelligence to the devotee, go to the doctor, get some more purification.
Just a follow-up question. Then if you say that when Krishna sanctions, then only medicine works. So 2 points comes. One is Krishna has created this universe in such a way that he has put some potential in particular medicine. If you say if Krishna wants, then it will work. Then what do you mean by the Ayurveda? It is just for just mind ko, just pampering the mind or just fooling the mind, because it is part of Shastra also. They also take that with every medicine you take Lord Vishnu's name.
Correct.
So yeah, so please throw that some light.
So yes, so Krishna has created the entire material world for what?
Things, Chaitanya says, experimentation and redirection.
Ye kya hai?
Experimentation to become happy, and if you find you cannot, then redirection.
Okay, fine. Yes. So same thing. So same thing is happening. Whether it's Ayurveda or astrology, also it is same thing. Only okay, experiment.
Ayurveda is like this homeopathy. No,
See, it is definitely a science. It is definitely correct, and definitely it will work. But it will work when Krishna sanctions. It will work. But it will work when Krishna sanctions.
Somebody may says, oh, if it is working, then you are telling Krishna is sanctioned. Else Krishna is not sanctioned.
Correct. So you don't have faith in the statement?
No, if somebody argues, then what to answer?
You argue or don't argue. Fact is fact. You accept or you don't accept. Fact is fact. Prabhupada says, no, you accept next life or not. Whether you accept or not, next life will take place. Just like whether you accept that you're going to become old or not, old age will come anyways. It is exactly like that. So the fact is, medicine will work when Krishna sanctions. This is not my statement or your statement. Whose statement it is? This is a Shastric statement. This is a Shastric statement. Now, whether we want to accept the statement or not is up to me. But whether I accept it or not, fact remains fact. Now, I may not be able to accept because I don't have that much faith. But that is whose problem? That is my problem. That is not Shastra's problem. That is what Shastra is saying. So, these are all facts. These are all facts. So Maharaj is saying that there was one doctor who treats cancer patients. So he was saying he was the youngest cancer doctor, and he died of cancer. So he's such an expert cancer doctor, he could not save himself. Why? These are all facts. So, but Krishna only gives us intelligence also to go to the doctor. For two reasons. One reason is, I don't have faith in Krishna. That is one reason. And second reason is, how the doctor will survive if nobody goes. Krishna has to take all these facts into consideration. It's a fact. Then doctor has to survive, no? Yes. He has to take care of all these factors. Therefore, in one lecture, Prabhupada says, becoming God is not so easy. Prabhupada gives example, no? The householder is praying that the thief should not steal. And the thief is praying, please give me opportunity to steal. Now Krishna has to satisfy both. So then Krishna has to satisfy all these people. So doctor also has to survive. And there are so many people who don't have faith in God. Then they have faith in doctor. So then both have to be combined. No? So all this is happening by Krishna's sanction. This whole material world is like a big drama going on. Big drama. But it is all perfectly being orchestrated by the Supreme Lord. It's a big illusion. Big illusion. So, but then to come to that understanding and realization, no, not so easy. Not so easy. So therefore, according to our own adhikar, we have to do the needful. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, do the needful. So again, the same reason. As far as he himself is concerned, Srila Prabhupada rarely went to the doctor. You may have heard of that pastime there in New York, I suppose. They took him to the hospital, and then even against the hospital's advice, Prabhupada said, take me out of this hospital. So even though the needles and everything were there, Prabhupada's. So Prabhupada himself never liked to take medicine or go to the hospital. But then in case of devotees, then Prabhupada said, do the needful. Why? Everyone doesn't have that level of faith. So then one can't give the same advice to everyone. Ayurvedic. Rarely it took. Rarely. And yes, and many times devotees would bring the doctors. Devotees would bring them. Because devotees were more concerned. Anyways, okay, enough of that discussion now. Okay, fine. Okay, it's time for break now. ठीक है, चलो. Okay, we'll discuss this after the break. Hare Krishna. Next. But again, just to complete that discussion, so if some doctor cures us, not that we say the doctor, see, ultimately I know Krishna has done it, you're useless fellow. Not like that. We have to be grateful. Somebody helps us, we have to be grateful, right? He has become an instrument of Krishna, right? We accept that, but we have to be grateful for anyone who helps us. Was that? God. Whether they believe that or not. Okay, fine. So, Shubhada, pure devotional service is all auspicious. So, this was Rupa Goswami is giving. Shubhani Priranam Sarva Jagatam Anuraktata Sadguna Sukham Iti Adinya Akhyatani Manishibi. Next. So, there are 4 aspects of Shubhada. The first is Sarva Jagatam Prinanam. So he shows compassion for everyone. So this is the characteristic of pure devotional service, and so is the characteristic of the pure devotee. So Sarva Jagatam Prinanam. So he loves everyone. So because he loves everyone, seeing everyone as part and parcel of Krishna, so therefore he shows compassion for everyone. Anuraktata, he attracts everyone. So he shows love, he shows compassion to others, and others become attracted towards him. That's Anuraktata. Then Sadguna bestows good qualities, and Sukham bestows superior happiness. So these are the 4 aspects of Shubhada. So the first one, compassion for everyone, that is what Srila Prabhupada is describing here in the first paragraph. In the first paragraph, he is describing about this compassion for everyone. And as he begins by saying, the actual auspiciousness means welfare activities for all the people of the world. And then he's talking about the United Nations. They're trying to do some help, but they're not able to help because they're not able to show true compassion for everyone because they don't have that proper understanding. But the devotees, they have the proper understanding that ultimately everyone has a connection to Krishna. And therefore is able to actually show love for everyone, and therefore is actually able to show compassion for everyone. And because the devotee shows compassion for everyone, then in reciprocation, others also become attracted towards the devotee. There is this pastime in the Delhi Pandal program, when after one of the programs, so all the people were so attracted to Srila Prabhupada, they all rushed forward to take dust from Srila Prabhupada's feet. And then after some time, one disciple asked Srila Prabhupada, how is it that all people are so attracted towards you? And Srila Prabhupada said, because I love them. That's the reason. So because the pure devotee loves everyone, then in reciprocation, others also become attracted towards him. As we read about the 6 Goswamis, Dhira Adhira Janapriyo. So everyone becomes attracted to because of the genuine love which the pure devotee has. And there are so many pastimes from the lives of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, how Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they could experience that love of Srila Prabhupada. Even by a small interaction, they could experience that love. This is something to be experienced. We can only speak theoretically, but it's something to be experienced. But many of Prabhupada's disciples, they tell how just by the sight of Srila Prabhupada, they could experience that love that Srila Prabhupada had for them. And that is why, even though some of Srila Prabhupada's disciples didn't have much interaction, but still they could surrender their lives, ready to give up their lives for him. Why? They could experience that. Okay, go ahead. Next. Okay, this is what we just read from the book. Next. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so in regards to how everyone is attracted towards a pure devotee, this the Acharyas are giving this example of Dhruva Maharaj. So this is what they're quoting. This quality of being honored by all others is also noted in the story of Dhruva. Yasya prasanno bhagavan gunair maitri adibir hari tasmai namanti bhutani nimnam apa iva swayam. Unto one who has transcendental qualities due to friendly behavior with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all living entities offer honor just as water automatically flows down by nature. So this verse comes when Dhruva Maharaj is returning from the forest. After having darshan of the Supreme Lord, he is returning from the forest. And at that time, even Suruchi and her son Uttama, who were at one point of time so envious, but now were totally friendly. They gave up their envy. And even Suruchi behaved in such a loving manner with Dhruva. In that context, this verse is being spoken. So why? Because Dhruva developed his relationship with the Supreme Lord due to friendly behavior with the Supreme Lord. Yasya prasanno bhagavan. So, because again, the same principle, watering the root of the tree. So when the root is watered, then all the other parts of the tree automatically, they feel nourished. They feel satisfied. And so therefore, the main thing is to develop that relationship with the Supreme Lord, to please the Supreme Lord. That is like watering the root. So if we try to please the Supreme Lord, then others will automatically please. This is also the instruction which Lord Vishnu tells Prithu Maharaj. So he tells Prithu Maharaj that if you act according to the instructions of the Brahmanas and the great sages and the scriptures, then automatically all your citizens will love you. So this is the principle. See, we all want our subordinates to love us, right? And be pleased. But trying to please them artificially will not help. They may be pleased for some time. But the real way to please them is by pleasing the Supreme Lord. If we please the Supreme Lord, then Supreme Lord is also situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart. Then Paramatma will satisfy them. What capacity we have to satisfy others? Very difficult. But if we make endeavor to please the Supreme Lord, then Supreme Lord makes the others satisfied. And that is how it works. In fact, in one lecture, Srila Prabhupada explains that is how preaching happens. Preaching doesn't happen simply by our endeavors. When the Lord is pleased, then the Lord who is situated as Paramatma in the other person's heart, then he inspires him to take up to devotional service. So I simply act as instrument. But because the devotee is trying to please the Supreme Lord, then Supreme Lord reciprocates by giving the results. Therefore, our main endeavor has to be how to please the Supreme. Otherwise, I can use all my techniques and skills and all that. Nothing will work. Because again, the same point, unless Krishna sanctions, nothing is going to work. So yes, I can do my part, but the most important thing is to try and please the Supreme Lord. So that is how everyone is attracted. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is describing over here. In the second paragraph, he is describing the second point about Anuraktata. And of course, he's given the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how even the deers and the tiger and everyone was attracted to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, he's Supreme Lord, but then that is the principle. And that is how everyone becomes attracted towards the pure devotee. Because the devotee is pleasing the Supreme Lord, therefore everyone becomes attracted. Okay, next. Okay, the next point is Sadguna. Now continue to read from Prabhupada's book.
consciousness, acting in devotional service, can develop all good qualities that are generally found in the demigods. It is said by Shukadeva Goswami in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 18th chapter, verse 12. My dear king, persons who have unflinching faith in Krishna and are without any duplicity can develop all the good qualities of the demigods. On account of a devotee's high grade of Krishna consciousness, even the demigods like to live with him. And therefore, it can be understood that the qualities of the demigods have developed within his body.
Okay, so we all know this famous verse. What is it?
Bhakti
Yasyasti bhaktir bhavati kinchana sarver gunesh tatra samasate suraha harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena sati dhavato bahi. So, now Prabhupada is sort of expanding on that. And here he's saying, on account of a devotee's high grade of Krishna consciousness, even the demigods like to live with him. This is not directly a part of the verse. Prabhupada is expanding. Who's the example for this?
Prabhupada himself. Because many times demigods used to come.
Okay, fine. But demigods like to live. Yes, Sanatana Goswami and? Yes, Lord Shiva. Yes, Chakleshwar. So we know that pastime, right? How the mosquitoes were troubling and that. So that's how even the demigods like to live with a devotee. Okay, continue.
On the other hand, a person who is not Krishna consciousness has no good qualities. He may be highly educated from the academic point of view, but in the actual field of his activities, he can be seen to be baser than animals. Even though a person is highly educated academically, if he cannot go beyond the sphere of mental activities, then he is sure to perform only material activities and thus remain impure. There are so many persons in the modern world who have been rightly educated in the materialistic universities, but it is seen that they cannot take up to the movement of Krishna consciousness and develop the high qualities of demigods.
Continue.
For example, a Krishna conscious boy, even if he is not very well educated by the university standard, can immediately give up an illicit sex life, gambling, meat eating, and intoxication. Whereas those who are not in Krishna consciousness, although very highly educated, are often drunkards, meat eaters, sex mongers, and gamblers. These are practical proofs of how a Krishna conscious person becomes highly developed in good qualities, whereas a person who is not in Krishna consciousness cannot do so. We experience that even a young boy in Krishna consciousness is unattached to cinemas, nightclubs, naked dance shows, restaurants, liquor, shops, etc. He becomes completely free. He saves his valuable time from being extravagantly spent in the way of smoking, drinking, attending the theater, and dancing.
Continue.
One who is not in Krishna consciousness usually cannot sit silently even for half an hour. The yoga system teaches us that if you become silent, you will realize that you are God. The system may be all right for materialistic persons, but how long will they be able to keep themselves silent? Artificially, they may sit down for so-called meditation, but immediately after the yogic performance, they will engage themselves again in such activities as illicit sex, gambling, meat eating, and many other nonsensical things. But a Krishna conscious person gradually elevates himself without entering for the so-called silent meditation. Simply because he is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he automatically gives up all this nonsense and develops a high character. One develops the highest character by becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. The conclusion is that no one can truly have any good qualities if he is lacking Krishna consciousness.
Right. So now, as far as that verse is concerned, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavate kinchana sarver gunes tatra samasate suraha. So the word suraha, so the acharyas explain that it is not only referring to the qualities of the devatas, but actually it is referring to the qualities of the Supreme Lord himself. Because only qualities of devatas are not so commendable, isn't it? Because devatas usually are in sattva gun. They also have some undesirable qualities also. So therefore, the word sura there indicates the qualities of the Supreme Lord and also his associates, assistants like devatas, rishis, all of them included. But the main focus is on the qualities of the Supreme Lord. And another explanation that is also given is that the word sura also indicates the devatas who are controlling the senses. So that means even the devatas who are controlling the senses, we know all the senses are controlled by different devatas, right? Like the eyes are controlled by sun god, Surya. The voice is controlled by Agni. So anyway, so each of the senses has different devatas controlling. So so he says that all these devatas, they also become subservient to such a devotee, because they're very much attracted towards the devotee who is worshipping the Supreme Lord. So all these devatas, they also become controlled by such a devotee, because he's using the senses in Krishna's service, correct? Because he's using the senses in Krishna's service, these devatas also become very pleased with such a devotee. So these are the meanings of that word sura in that verse. So, of course, this is something which is easy to understand at our level, and that is that how even a person may be highly educated, but is addicted to all these nonsensical, sinful activities. Whereas a devotee, even though may not be educated academically, but he's able to give up all these sinful activities. Just few additional points in this connection. So, so sometimes, even amongst devotees, sometimes we find devotees, they get a little frustrated with behavior of other devotees. And a devotee may tend to comment that actually materialistic people have better qualities than devotees. You heard that sometimes? Acha, many times. So what do you think about that statement? Is it correct, wrong? And whatever you say, you prove it. Okay. Shuklam.
So, particularly this statement is wrong in the sense that a devotee, there might be some acquired qualities before coming to devotional service, and eventually because he's practicing the devotional service, because he's undergoing the process, eventually he will get rid of those bad qualities automatically, because the devotional service is acting upon him.
Okay.
While with the materialistic persons, apparently it may seem that they might have some good qualities, but that good qualities won't last long, because there is no stability, and it does not actually refer to the soul proper, and does not refer to the spiritual qualities. It just materially, and it's on the superficial surface, it appears to be like that.
Good. That good point. Somebody add. Okay.
Extend to the same thing, Guruji, that one analogy is given of when you cut a branch of a tree, then the leaves remain green for some time.
Okay.
And then because that greenness of the leaf is because of the connection. But then when you keep it for some time, then it gets dried up. So similarly, the outside person and the materialistic person may look sometimes green, but because the connection to the Supreme Lord is not there, it is going to dry up.
Okay, fine.
Primary lakshan is Krishna Ekasharanam, and other qualities are like Tatastha lakshan. So eventually devotee will develop that qualities.
Okay, good point. Yes.
Correct. We can say that they're telling right also, because with what intention they're speaking, that we should see. Because in mainly professional life, they're very punctual regarding to time and everything. So they want to improve devotees. That's why they speak these words. So in that connection, it is right also.
So you're seeing the good quality in them. Okay, fine.
Even Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita that api se duracharo bhaste maunane bhag sadhureyo samhita. So even because he's worshipping a lot, so after some time he will be rectified.
Shipram bhavati dharma.
And also the example is given of the mango, that the devotee who has bad quality, they are like kacha mango. After some time, when they'll develop good quality, they'll become pakka mango. They will be releasable by all.
Okay, fine. Yes. So basically, these are the points to understand. Kya bolna hai kuch?
At least that devotee accepted Krishna, not the material
Materialistic way of life. Correct. So as Adbhut Krishna, right, has given Adbhut answer. So that point is fundamental to this understanding, and that is Krishna Eka Sharanam. That is the Swarup Lakshana of the Vaishnava. And so because he has that quality, so therefore the remaining 25 qualities, which are all Tatastha Lakshan, they will eventually gradually develop as long as the devotee is continuing to practice his devotional service. And so therefore that is what needs to be focused. And this is very important, because sometimes we tend to give more importance to the Tatastha Lakshana. But then we should first of all see that here is a devotee. Here is a devotee who has taken shelter of the Lord, is chanting the holy names, is taken shelter of the spiritual master. So even though some other qualities may not be present, it's just a matter of time. The example is also given just like a child who's taking a bath. So now he's muddy, but then he's taking bath, so eventually he'll become clean. So it's just a matter of time. So that should be the correct perception. That should be the correct perception. So not that we are giving too much importance to the Tatastha Lakshan. So if we give too much importance to the Tatastha Lakshan, then in our dealings with devotees also we'll be frustrated. Then we will think, then it is having unrealistic expectations. If we think that all 26 qualities must develop immediately, this is unrealistic expectation. So they will develop slowly. So we must not be too impatient. That's one point. Second point is that as far as the materialists are concerned, so the materialists may have some good qualities because of their previous sattva gun, because of the previous influence of sattva gun, which they may have got from previous life. So they may exhibit some good qualities. But then sattva gun is not a stable or eternal platform. So these days, especially, we see somebody may be born in a so-called Brahmana family and may have some good qualities also. But what happens? Usually we find a small child may have some good qualities initially. Then what happens when he goes to the schools and colleges? Because of association. So those sattvic qualities are not steady. As soon as the environment changes, then the Rajogun and Tamogun will take over, and Sattvagun will disappear then. So those qualities cannot be steady. And also, a materialistic person may exhibit some good qualities, maybe for some materialistic purpose. Correct? I think so. I mentioned during the Bhakti Shastri classes, I think so. I told that incident of that person who died in a plane. I told that? Huh? Okay. So on a flight from Mumbai to Calcutta, one man died on the flight. So there was emergency landing at Nagpur. And then obviously man has died on the flight, then police will come, so many officials will come and see what has happened and this and that, and so much paperwork and official work. And passengers are not allowed to board, allowed to get off the flight because it's not an official landing. So they have to sit inside only. And only those people are allowed inside. And plus, this is not like Indian Railways. There's no chai and vada pav and things coming. So people, and there's not much place to move also. At least if it is train, you can get off on the platform and you can roam around, do so many things. You can't do anything here. You have to just sit quietly. At the most, you can see something on your mobile. So people were getting, it was taking quite some time. So people were getting a little impatient and uncomfortable. But what to do? Nothing to do. But there was one lady whose patience went beyond the limits. Huh? That's what, no. Therefore, I can remember it so vividly. This happened many years back, actually. It happened many years back, but I remember it so vividly, actually. So, so then this lady, she started screaming. She started screaming. She started yelling. She said, "What useless airlines! We have paid such a huge amount of money to reach our place on time, and what nonsense is happening? This, that." Now, what was most amazing was the behavior of the air hostesses. So peaceful, so calm. What I could remember was the qualities of the Sthita Pragya. So amazing it was. Now, I was really thinking at that time, if I was in their place, I would have really screamed and shouted, because it's not my fault. The man has died. Why are you shouting at me? But these ladies, so amazingly peaceful, and they were somehow trying to pacify the lady. Madam, what do you want? Do you want some juice? What can we do? Absolutely unagitated. And eventually, of course, the lady calmed down. So, I related this incident at many places. So, when I related in one class, so there was one devotee in the class who underwent this, this course on hotel management and hospitality. So, he was telling that during this course, as a part of the training, sometimes they're beaten and slapped on the face to test their tolerance. Literally, they are beaten to test their tolerance. Yes. फिर क्या अकेले में क्या मजा है? They may be doing all these mock. Yes. So people are ready to go through so much. Just for what? Money is sweeter than honey. And so the fact is, so these people, they are exhibiting so-called good qualities for what? Just for money. Now, inside the person may be boiling, but at least he has to make the show. Otherwise, he knows he'll be out of the job, he or she. But how long will that show go on? That show cannot go on. Of course, as long as the job is there, they may do it as an austerity. So, of course, thinking about that, then at least in the association of devotees, as an austerity, we can do it for the ultimate purpose of pleasing Guru and Krishna. If they are ready to tolerate so much as a show, why not we go through the austerity for a higher purpose? They are doing that just for money. But why not we do it for a higher purpose? So in any case, so the point is that, yes, so that all may be superficial and external. But as devotees, we should understand that what is happening for a devotee is that the natural good qualities of the soul are manifesting. Because the soul already has the good qualities. Because? Yes, part and parcel of Krishna. But now all those qualities are covered by material contamination. So to the degree the material contamination is being removed by the practice of devotional service, to that degree the good qualities manifest. So therefore Srila Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, we discussed also if you remember, 13th chapter verses 8 to 12, there Srila Prabhupada writes that the exhibition of these good qualities is therefore a barometer to check one's spiritual advancement. Because to the degree the material contamination has been removed, to that degree the qualities will manifest. So therefore, that is one of the ways to check. But of course, again, we do understand it's a gradual process. It will take some time. And so especially while dealing with other devotees, we should give the benefit of doubt. And we should think, okay, he is devotee. Gradually, the good qualities will develop. And of course, if we can help them to develop the good qualities, we can always try to help them. Okay, so these are some few points on this.
Like we see if a devotee may be practicing bhakti from many years and then he falls away from Krishna consciousness. And then he takes the life which he was leading previously. And we have sufficient examples for them. So then how we can justify that the devotee develops good qualities? So then outside people may argue na, anyway, devotees bhi to aisa hota hai, unke saath, wo bhi to. So then how we can justify this statement? They have good qualities of demigods or Krishna, they attract everyone, what all we are discussing here.
So then, so what is the reason why a devotee falls away from Krishna consciousness?
It can be many reasons.
Yes, there can be many reasons. But the fact is, when can a devotee not fall away from Krishna consciousness?
As we discussed, when it's sincere and serious.
No, sincere and serious, okay. But at what stage?
Nishtha.
No. Only on the stage, at least the stage of bhava. Bharat Maharaj, it said early stages of bhava. But anyway, usually, Prabhupada writes that in Nectar of Instruction. At least bhava. Prema is safe, but at least bhava. So on that platform, one can be sure that one will not fall away. Bhava, as we will study now, bhava is easy to achieve.
No.
Then. So therefore, it is possible for a devotee. But then we do understand that even though a devotee may fall away from the practice of Krishna consciousness, but yes, we know this. Nyabhikarmanashas in the Bhagavatam, Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam hare bhajanna pakvo tapati tato. So
when we talk about devotees, then very hardly are few on the stages of bhava. And
yes.
we make
but then everyone is on the same path, na?
Yes.
They're on the path to achieve that. So therefore, that's what we were saying. We cannot have unrealistic expectations. So, but therefore, what is most important is the Swarup Lakshan. This devotee has taken shelter of the Supreme Lord. He is practicing Krishna consciousness. That is what is most important. And as far as the qualities are concerned, they will gradually develop. They'll gradually develop. That is what should be our understanding. But the fact is that he is on the right path. That is the most important point. Whereas the materialistic person, whether he has good qualities or not, he is not on the right path. And therefore, even those so-called good qualities will disappear after some time.
One more thing, like when we have seen that when devotees, they leave Krishna consciousness, and many times they've become worse than karmis also. To the extent even karmis don't do, they come to that. Then how we should see that? Because they were living such a pure life now, and now it's like completely tamoguna.
Yes, because the modes are active, na?
But if somebody falls also, it is a gradual process, na?
No, see, when one leaves Krishna consciousness totally, if one leaves Krishna consciousness totally, he is not practicing devotional service, then what is his protection against the lower modes?
So that is for a even normal person also who is even not practicing Krishna consciousness. But we have seen that the extent they do sense gratification, as if like bhuka sher hota hai, usko band karke rakha tha, ekdam se khol diya to. So sometimes we have seen so many.
No, that is true. So what is surprising about it? That's my question.
Means they were leading such a high sattvic life.
What was giving them the strength to lead that life?
The mercy of Guru Parampara.
Exactly. Once that is lost, then what is the position? Yes. So what protects it? The principle applies for all of us. What is protecting us is our connection to the Guru Parampara by following the instructions. That is what is protecting us. The moment that protection is lost, then what is left? Lower modes, Rajogun and Tamogun. Then what will happen? Same thing. Same thing. And that is what then by the influence of Rajogun and Tamogun, the same devotee may think, I'll have to make up for the losses. The loss of sense enjoyments in so many years. I have to make up for it. That is what will happen by the influence of Rajogun and Tamogun. So therefore, one has to understand. So until one comes to the platform of prema, therefore, one always has to be extremely careful. Because the influence of lower modes is always there. ठीक है? हाँ.
So generally, like how it decided or how one can come to know these qualities are like when person will have that qualities. As you mentioned, it will gradually develop.
So, based upon one's purification. Contamination is there, correct? To the degree the contamination is removed, the good qualities will manifest. And how the contamination is removed? Chetu Darpana Marjanam is based on what? My own intensity of practice of Krishna consciousness. So to the degree I am serious and sincere, material contamination will remove, qualities will develop. Check.
In the same context we are discussing, sometimes we feel that any devotees dealing is too much agitating to our mind. So that time we are thinking better is to stay a little bit away from this for peaceful practice for myself also and for these devotees also, so that we will not commit offense. So how much it's right that staying away from keeping safe distance from that devotee till the time he will exhibit some good qualities?
It is fully justified. It is fully justified. This is what Vishwanath Thakur comments in the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, 29th chapter, when Lord Kapila is discussing about devotees in the three modes, devotional service in the three modes. So in that context, Srila Prabhupada is quoting Vishwanath Thakur, and he says that if we find a devotee who is being too much influenced by the lower modes and is exhibiting many demoniac qualities like envy, violence, and these qualities, then to save ourselves from being affected by that devotee, to save ourselves from that asatsang, he's a devotee, but now because he's being influenced by lower modes, it is like asatsang. And so therefore, it is good to keep safe distance. So we should associate with devotees who will inspire us in our Krishna consciousness. So if there are devotees who are not inspiring, rather who are, because of their influence by the lower modes, their association is maybe harmful for our practice of devotional service, then it is justified to keep a distance from them. Right? Okay.
Sometimes there discussion happens among devotees, like peers, about somebody's lower qualities or some fault finding happens. So now we all are being on equal platform. If we say, Prabhu, this is not good, then that causes relationship breakup.
That's what we discussed, no, this point. So therefore, it is not my business. Unless I have a service to do that, I should not do it. Why should I do it?
But that discussion happens, then we also become part of it. And so
then it's just prajalpa. It's useless talk. If I cannot help a devotee improve, what is the point in simply talking about others' faults? Then it's simply prajalpa, useless talk. If I can help the other devotee improve, then there is some point to the discussion. But if I cannot help the other devotee improve, what is the point in simply gossiping and talking, this devotee did that? It's useless gossip. Useless talk. So therefore, whether it is talking or whether it is correcting, we should do it only if we are in a position to help the other devotee. If we are not in a position to help the other devotee, and as Suresh Prabhu has asked, so if I'm not feeling inspired by the other devotee because of whatever reason, and I cannot help him either, then what is better is keep a safe distance. That is better. Otherwise, if I go near, then I'll be influenced by him, or I will have to talk about his bad qualities. So either way, it's not good for me. So better keep distance then. Or I can report to the concerned person who can actually help him. Simply talking is useless. Okay, fine. So now we'll go ahead. So that is about, okay, so three things we discussed. What? Under Shubhada. First is what? Yes, Sarva Jagdam Prinam, that is compassion for everyone. Second is Anuraktata, attracts. And third is Sadguna, development of good qualities. And the fourth one is Sukham. Okay, go ahead. Yes, bestow superior happiness. So that's the next topic which Srila Prabhupada is discussing. Happiness in Krishna consciousness. So here, of course, Srila Prabhupada is giving a complete understanding about happiness in Krishna consciousness. Okay, read the first 4 paragraphs.
Happiness in Krishna consciousness. Srila Rupa Goswami has analyzed the different sources of happiness. He has divided happiness into 3 categories, which are: first, happiness derived from material enjoyment; second, happiness derived by identifying oneself with the Supreme Brahman; and third, happiness derived from Krishna consciousness. In the Tantra Shastra, Lord Shiva speaks to his wife Sati in this way: "My dear wife, a person who has surrendered himself at the lotus feet of Govinda, who has thus developed pure Krishna consciousness, can be very easily avoided all the perfections desired by the impersonalist. And beyond this, he can enjoy the happiness achieved by the pure devotees. Happiness derived from pure devotional service is the highest because it is eternal. The happiness derived from material perfection or understanding oneself to the Brahman is inferior because it is temporary. There is no preventing one's falling down from material happiness. And there is even every chance of falling down from the spiritual happiness derived out of identifying oneself with the impersonal Brahman. It has been seen that great Mayavadi, impersonalist, sannyasis, very highly educated and almost realized souls may sometimes take to political activities or to social welfare activities. The reason is that they actually do not derive any ultimate transcendental happiness in the impersonal understanding and therefore must come down to the material platform and take to such mundane affairs. There are many instances, especially in India, where these Mayavadi sannyasis descend to the material platform again. But a person who is fully in Krishna consciousness will never return to any sort of material platform. However alluring and attracting that may be, he always knows that no material welfare activities can compare to the spiritual activity of Krishna consciousness.
Okay, so 3 types of happiness Rupa Goswami is describing. One is happiness due to material activities, material enjoyment. Of course, we know that this is simply so-called happiness. Yes, so-called happiness because, so what is this material happiness basically? That is the nature, but what is it? Mental concoction, that's correct. So what is perceived as happiness on the material platform? That means absence of distress is perceived to be happiness. That is the material happiness. Prabhupada describes this very nicely in 1st canto, 2nd chapter, 6th verse purport. You can read if you want. So absence of happiness, absence of distress is perceived to be happiness on the material platform. So that's basically material happiness. So therefore, many times Prabhupada says so-called happiness. Okay. Then happiness derived by identifying oneself as Supreme Brahman. So this Srila Prabhupada also says this material happiness is Jadanand with material things. Then the second is Brahmananda, the happiness with identifying oneself with the impersonal Brahman, merging with the impersonal Brahman. So that is Brahmananda. But even that is simply absence of happiness. But that is actually absence of happiness because one is on the liberated platform. So then one does not experience the suffering of the material world. There is that spiritual happiness, but still there is every risk of falling down even from there because so what's the problem? Yes, because of no positive service to the Supreme Lord. Anadrita Yushmadangraya, because of disrespecting or disregarding the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Or in other words, there's no service to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, there's no positive spiritual happiness. Positive spiritual happiness can only be achieved by serving the Supreme Lord. So even the impersonalists, they do not get this happiness. And this is what Srila Prabhupada says in so many places about the impersonalist sannyasis, even though they're realized, but then they come back to performing social welfare activities, philanthropic activities, because they've not got that positive spiritual happiness. So that is about materialists, then the jnanis, and now Prabhupada talks about the yogis. So the yogis are trying to get happiness from mystic perfection, siddhis. So now Srila Prabhupada explains about these siddhis. Okay, read the next two paragraphs. The mystic perfections.
The mystic perfections achieved by actual successful yogis are 8 in number. Anima Siddhi refers to the power by which one can become so small that he can enter into a stone. Modern scientific improvements also enable us to enter into stone because they provide for excavating so many subways, penetrating the hills, etc. So Anima Siddhi, the mystic perfection of trying to enter into stone, has also been achieved by material science. Similarly, all of the Yoga Siddhis or perfections are material arts. For example, in one Yoga Siddhi, there is development of the power to become so light that one can float in the air or on water. That is also being performed by modern scientists. They are flying in the air, they are floating on the surface of the water, and they are traveling under the water. After comparing all these mystic yoga siddhis to materialistic perfections, we find that the materialistic scientists try for the same perfections. So actually there is no difference between mystic perfection and materialistic perfection. A German scholar once said that the so-called yoga perfections had already been achieved by the modern scientists, and so he was not concerned with them. He intelligently went to India to learn how he could understand his eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord by means of Bhakti Yoga, devotional service.
Okay, so basically, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that how the mystic siddhis have been achieved by even the modern materialistic scientists. So these siddhis are also material. There's nothing great about it. We all know the story Prabhupada told about that person who learned to walk on the water. He came back. The child says, worth 2 paisa, yes. So they're also basically materialistic. There's nothing great about them. So therefore, one cannot get real happiness even by achieving these mystic perfections. And then Srila Prabhupada is talking about other mystic siddhis. You can read about that. We won't read the whole thing. So then further down, then Srila Prabhupada is quoting from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, talking about material happiness. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has therefore said that the advancement of material knowledge renders a person more foolish because it causes one to forget his real identity by its glimmer. This is doom for him because this human form of life is meant for getting out of material contamination. By the advancement of material knowledge, people are becoming more and more entangled in material existence. They have no hope of being liberated from this catastrophe. So this is about material happiness and materialistic activities. And then he's quoting from Prahlad Maharaj. So now coming to the happiness which a devotee experiences. So that he's writing in the next paragraph. Actually, a pure devotee, you saw that? Actually, a pure devotee does not aspire after any of these perfections, because the happiness derived from devotional service in Krishna consciousness is so transcendental and so unlimited that no other happiness can compare to it. It is said that even one drop of happiness in Krishna consciousness stands beyond comparison with an ocean of happiness derived from any other activity. Thus, any person who has developed even a little quantity of pure devotional service can very easily kick out all the other kinds of happiness derived from religiousness, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. So that is the happiness which a devotee experiences by performance of devotional service. So the happiness is experienced at all levels. Now, these first two characteristics that we're discussing, Kleshagni and Shubhada, they're at which platform of devotional service? Sadhana Bhakti. And so the happiness at the level of Sadhana Bhakti is this Shubhada. The happiness at the level of Bhava Bhakti is Moksha Lagutakrit. That is the next characteristic. And the happiness at the level of Prema Bhakti is Sandrananda Visheshatma. So happiness is there at all levels, but then the happiness is progressively increasing. But happiness is there at all levels. And then Srila Prabhupada is given the example of Kolavecha Sridhar. So we all know the story of Kolavecha Sridhar and how Mahaprabhu was ready to give him any benediction, but Kolavecha Sridhar was not interested in any of that. So therefore, why? Okay, next paragraph. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is also said that any person who has developed even a small amount of devotional service doesn't care a fig for any kind of happiness derived from religiousness, economic development, sense gratification, or the 5 kinds of liberation. Any kind of happiness derived from religiousness, economic development, liberation, or sense gratification cannot even dare to enter into the heart of a pure devotee. See the words Prabhupada is using. Cannot even dare to enter into the heart of a pure devotee, because the devotee is least interested. It is stated that as the personal attendants and maidservants of a queen follow the queen with all respect and obeisances, similarly the joys of basically dharma, artha, kama, moksha, they follow the devotional service of the Lord. In other words, a pure devotee does not lack any kind of happiness derived from any source. He does not want anything but service to Krishna. But even if he should have another desire, the Lord fulfills this without the devotee's asking. So if the devotee has some material desire, the Lord can fulfill that also. Just like, yes, Dhruva Maharaj. He wanted the kingdom, then Krishna fulfilled that also. Even though at that point he didn't have any of these desires. But that's how a devotee does not care for anything of this world, dharma, artha, kam, moksha, because he's experiencing much superior type of happiness in the devotional service of the Lord. So then again about happiness, Prabhupada is writing, you can see, after this rareness of pure devotional service, again Prabhupada is writing, the happiness of becoming one with the Supreme. So this is in connection to Moksha Lagutakrit. Go ahead. Shukla Mahaprabhu. Everyone is going into Samadhi now. Time to stop. Go ahead. So Moksha Lagutakrit. This is on the platform of Bhava Bhakti. Bhava Bhakti. Those in pure devotional service derive even the conception of liberation. So see, if we carefully analyze, liberation is a very high platform, correct? Liberation means what? Freedom from suffering. So if any one of us were told from tomorrow you will have absolutely no suffering, will we be happy or no? Yes or no? Yes, we'll definitely be happy. So that is liberation, no more suffering. But the devotee who's on Bhava platform, he considers even that to be insignificant. Because what is giving the devotee even more happiness is what? The service. The service gives the devotee so much of happiness that even if he is told, no more suffering, you're on a liberated platform, he doesn't care for it. Of course, if you get both, that's good. No more suffering and plus devotional service. But in the material world, you can't get everything. But anyways, the point is that they don't care for even liberation because they're experiencing that higher happiness. Go ahead. Right, this we already read. that this dharma, artha, kam, moksha, they are automatically following, like maid servants. They're following the devotee. So he automatically gets that. Okay. Okay, fine. So now you read from Prabhupada's book, The Happiness of Becoming One with the Supreme.
Hare Krishna. Srila Rup Goswami says that if Brahmananda, or the happiness of becoming one with the Supreme, is multiplied by 1 trillion fold, it still cannot compare to an atomic fraction of the happiness derived from the ocean of devotional service.
So you see that Brahmananda is multiplied by 1 trillion fold. 1 trillion fold, but still cannot compare to atomic fraction of the happiness derived from ocean of. But this is at what platform? Bhava Bhakti. This is at Bhava Bhakti. So on the platform of Bhava, the devotee is experiencing such happiness in devotional service that this Brahmananda multiplied 1 trillion fold is also insignificant. That is the level of happiness he experiences. Go ahead.
In the Hari Bhakti Subhodaya, Prahlad Maharaj, while satisfying Lord Nrsimhadev by his prayer, says, "My dear Lord of the universe, I am feeling transcendental pleasure in your presence and have become merged in the ocean of happiness. I now consider the happiness of Brahmananda to be no more than the water in the impression left by a cow's hoof in the earth, compared to this ocean of bliss."
Yes, so the happiness of devotional service is like ocean. And the happiness of Brahmananda is like water in the calf's hoof print.
Similarly, it is confirmed in the Bhavar Dipika, Sridhar Swami's commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. My dear Lord, some of the fortunate persons who are swimming in the ocean of your nectar of devotion and who are relishing the nectar of the narration of your pastimes certainly know ecstasies which immediately minimize the value of the happiness derived from religiousness, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Such a transcendental devotee regards any kind of happiness other than devotional service as no better than straw in the
street. Okay, you go ahead. Go ahead. So, because then the Sandranand Visheshatma comes, Prabhupada doesn't separately explain that, but because that is also ultimately happiness only. Yes, so Sandranand Visheshatma is the happiness at the level of Prema Bhakti. So, pure devotional service automatically puts one in transcendental pleasure. This is what? Incalculable condensed bliss. Incalculable means what? We can't even imagine. What is that happiness on the level of Prema? It's like condensed. Okay, go ahead. Right, this is the verse which Rupa Goswami is giving. Brahmanando bhavedesha chet parardha guni kritaha naiti bhakti sukam bodhe paramanu tulamapi. Prabhupada is giving the translation of that. Go ahead. Yes, we read this. The same thing. If Brahmananda, the happiness of being one with Supreme, is multiplied by 1 trillion fold, it still cannot compare to an atomic fraction of happiness. Next. Okay, this also we read. Prabhupada has just given that. All the happiness of impersonal Brahman is as insignificant as water in the hoof print of a cow. Right, and so therefore, the Acharyas are quoting this well-known verse about the 4 Kumaras. Tasya Ravinda Nayanasya Padaravinda Kinjal Kamishra Tulasi Makaranda Vayu Antargatasva Vivarena Chakaratesham Sankshova Apichitta Tanavo. Read.
And the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead enter the nostrils of those sages. They experience a change both in body and in mind, even though they were attracted to the impersonal Brahman understanding.
Right. So this shows that the happiness of devotional service is much higher than Brahmananda. So these 4 Kumaras were already experiencing Brahmananda. But when they experienced the Supreme Lord, then that Brahmananda seemed to be insignificant for them. And that's how they became devotees. So this is a proof to show that the happiness of devotional service is much higher than Brahmananda. One second. Is there anything more? Okay, so levels of happiness, as we said. So on level of sadhana bhakti, shubhadha, bhava bhakti, moksha lagatakrit, prema bhakti, sandran vishesha. So these are the three levels of happiness.
Prabhuji, when we say of these three levels of happiness, so this is happiness is the same thing, and there the degrees are different, quantity is different, or quality is also different. When we say experience of happiness,
Yes, so both will be different, quantity as well as quality.
so then what are the quality of happiness means what, Prabhuji?
Of course, quality of happiness, quality is in terms of one's experiencing the presence of the Supreme Lord, one's realization of the Supreme Lord. Of course, in terms of quality, essentially it is same. That is, it is spiritual happiness. It is spiritual happiness. But then what is the difference is the level of happiness in terms of one's realization of the Supreme Lord. I don't remember at the moment. I'm not able to recollect any example or analogy Prabhupada gives to. Of course, examples the Shastras are giving that we have just seen. That and the water in the hoof print of cow, and what else? Multiplied 1 trillion fold. So these are things that are there, but anything other than that, I can't think of it.
So this transformation which happens in the Ashtasattvic Vikar, so it is manifestation of happiness.
Bhava. Yes, it's a manifestation of happiness. That's correct. So just like we see the perverted reflection of that, isn't it? Just like the emotions manifest in the subtle body, manifest in the gross body, correct? One feels very sad. What is the manifestation in the body? Yes, a person is morose. Then if it's too much, then he starts crying. Similarly, if a person is very happy, yes, face will be brightened, there'll be a big smile, and then maybe he'll start jumping and dancing and so many things. Correct? Or if a person is angry, then there are symptoms. So, subtle manifests in the gross. The emotions in the subtle body manifest in the gross body. And the same principle applies on the spiritual platform also. So, on the spiritual platform also, there are spiritual symptoms which manifest in the subtle body, and then they manifest in the gross body. So that is basically the Ashtasattvic Vikar. So the same principle applies. So based upon that realization of the Supreme Lord, then one experiences that spiritual happiness. And then one experiences the symptoms of happiness. But this is purely on the spiritual platform. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll complete this. 2 more characteristics remain. And then the next chapter, we'll try to finish the next chapter tomorrow, chapter 2. So these initial part is actually the most important. These covering the fundamental concepts and aspects of devotional service. So these are very important. The rest of the chapters go a little more quickly actually, because most of them are basically evidences for these various angas of bhakti. So the remaining chapters will go fast. Okay? Fine. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhaktavrind ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.